years.
All right. Hello, hello, hello. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We have some more wonderful vintage makeup to show you. I'm Amber. I will be answering any questions you have and giving them to Gabriela. And of course, this is Gabriela herself. Hooray!
Hello. Hello. Hello.
Hello, hello, hello. So once again, thank you so much for joining us. If you want to say where you are watching from, that's always fun. We have such a little group of watchers who come so often, which we really appreciate. So just a special hello to Cara Jean and Natalie being here again, and Dinsdale 5. Yes, you're here quite a bit. And we just appreciate that so, so much. It's so cool to see people coming back. And for anybody new, of course, welcome as well. We're very, very happy to have you here. So, so today, Gabriela, you have some more vintage pieces for us. And if you have questions about the pieces or other questions for Gabriela, just leave those in the chat and then we'll kind of get to them between some of the items that she's showing. So be a little bit patient with questions, which you guys always are, but we will get to them. Yay! So, Gabriela,
Awesome.
what do you have first for us today?
Okay. Well, today I have the first piece I have is a little set from Avon from the 1950s, and it's got like a cap like this, and then inside of it, it's all these little tiny lipsticks.
Oh,
You can
wow.
see them. So they were testers, basically. This is like a salesman tester sampler. So they would go, to see all the ladies door to door and that, and show them these samplers, and they could try on the color, and then they could order it. So these was kind of like a salesman sample. So this kind of slips on the top of this.
Uh-huh.
And they're made out of brass. So this is a little older than the set that I showed before that was more in the 60s that was made out of plastics. This one's actually made out of brass. So it's an earlier version of a salesman set. It's got really lovely colors in here. Some of the colors that we have are pink tinge, pink rose, pink triumph, radiant, magic red, ripe cherry, crimson beauty, blue jewel,
Blue
Congo red,
jewel.
yeah, and sun gold. So some very interesting colors. I swatched a few of them. A lot of them are empty. So obviously these salesman samples were used quite a bit because they're like worn down to the nub. But some of them actually have, when you open them, they look like this.
Oh, wow.
Tiny.
That's even smaller than I thought it was, just
Yes,
seeing
it's
them
a
all together. Oh my gosh,
tiny,
it's so
tiny.
tiny.
It's a tiny, tiny,
Oh,
tiny, like about an inch,
yeah.
actually. Little tiny brass bottom with a little tiny tip on it. And the tip has the same shape, but if you notice, as our tip.
Yeah.
So, this was a very common tip in the 50s here. So, so that's on there. And some of the colors I swatched so you can see some of the different reds in there. You can see some of them are kind of more brown red, brick red, a cherry red. So you can see the different shades of red that were in here. Very interesting. Some of them, this is one of the ones in better shape, but most of them are kind of worn down to nothing in here, like this. See, a lot of them look like
Ooh.
this, where
Uh-huh.
there's almost nothing left in there. See,
Wow.
so they definitely use the samplers. So
Do you know what color went with that blue? The one that was called blue something?
I don't know. I trying to I'm gonna have to go through these and try to open because a lot of them are sealed
Oh,
shut,
sure.
so I cannot. So maybe with some pliers, but a lot of them, see, they're very old and they've oxidized,
Oh,
so they're
sure.
like almost black. So I have to see if I can actually dig it out and figure out what color this is. So I'll do that afterwards and put it on my Instagram
Oh, sure.
feed if I can figure out what colors these are.
Oh, yeah.
So I can show you.
And Natalie asked if you used any of these particular lipsticks to base any of the Besame colors.
Not these in particular, no. But they are very similar to other ones that we do have because the popular colors at the time were repeated by several brands. So if a color was popular, there was probably a very similar color in all the competing brands. So I'm sure that we have a color similar to this from another brand of the same type period.
And when were
So,
these from again, approximately?
these were from the 1950s.
Oh, okay, great.
So this set is from the early 50s, or early 50s.
So cool.
Yeah. So it's very interesting little thing. But yeah, they look like little bullets because the bottom even has a hole.
Yeah.
If you look like a bullet casing, see?
Whoa. Is there a reason for that? Does that help it function in any way, or just is it decorative?
No. Well, sometimes they said that they would reuse molds from casings for bullets.
Oh.
So I don't know if they did this for this particular thing, but it's possible that they had a mold and they used it.
Oh, wow.
I wouldn't put it past them because obviously you try to take advantage of whatever you have in the factory, and if you had the mold, maybe that's they used it for that. But
Yeah.
but not really. I mean not. I mean, these were these were not poured in. They had to be cast and put into the containers. So the whole is just it's just part of the mold.
Yeah. Cool.
Very interesting little things though. They do look like bullets though, very much. So.
Yes, it's very literally.
And they're about the same size.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah, very funny.
Ashley shared something real quick. She said she convinced her aunt to try Besame, and now her aunt is rocking new lipstick in all of her Insta stories. And it's the first time she's ever seen her wear red lipstick. So thank you for sharing that, Ashley. That's so cool.
Yay!
Good
Another
for her.
cover to red. Yay!
Yes, I know. I know. I've got to get my mom next.
Yes.
Next on the list.
Definitely. Once you go with red, you never go back.
Yep. I've got to think of a good rhyme for that one. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Oh, cool.
All right.
All right. Yeah. What do you have next?
Okay. The next one I have here, I have two different blushes for you. And they're both from, one is from the late 50s, mid 50s, and the other one is around late 40s. So this is a Max Factor one from kind of like the late 40s. It's called Flame, and it's a blush. It's actually a cream blush because it has a piece of plastic on top. That's why it looks shiny, but it's a cream blush like that.
Ooh.
It kind of looks like apricot.
It does.
Yeah, it kind of has a apricot. And then this one here is from, about 5-6 years later, and it's called Heather. And if you look at, this is not a cream, this is a powder, but it's a very similar shade.
Yeah.
So this just, I picked these out so that you can see that different brands in approximately similar times would make the same colors if they were popular. So this color obviously was a popular shade. So several people manufacture it. Heather did it like this in a powder, and it had a little tiny applicator and everything in it.
Oh, cute.
Yeah, it's like a little applicator.
That's a little
pad.
puff. Yeah.
Yeah,
oh,
a little pad. And it came in this little tin with a cute little bow and things on it. It's very cute, the little tin. And on the back it says what it is.
Ooh.
It's very cute.
They're almost like dupes of each other at the from the time.
Yeah. So this is called Oramber, the color Oramber. And in the Max Factor it is called Flame.
Oh.
So the Max Factor one is called Flame, but similar shade though.
Mm-hmm.
Very close in shade. This is a cream rouge on the Max Factor though, so it was and it was part of the line that came out at the same time that you had the pancake makeup come out. So this is
Oh.
around the same time period as that. If the cake the pancake came in a similar case to this,
Mm-hmm.
same logo and coloring. So it's kind of a cute little
Yes, that's so adorable.
case right there. So these are kind of, yeah, like you said, dupes of each other, but from different periods and
Mm-hmm.
different times. But as you can see, a color seems to repeat itself, especially if it's a popular shade or a shade that looks good on a lot of people. Companies would, make that same color in different lines.
Yeah.
So you can see it from these two lines. Mm-hmm.
And Kara asked, what's the difference between the cake foundation and a cream formula? Kara, are you talking about for the blushes here? If you want to put that in. But yeah, would the pigments have to be very different between that cream blush and the powder blush?
Oh, for these,
For
yeah,
those, yeah.
yeah. Basically, the pigments are the same, except that this is put in a cream base and this
Mm-hmm.
is put into a powder base. But pigment wise, they're very similar. They're basically the same pigments, but when you make a cream, you have to blend the pigments with oils and butters
Mm-hmm.
to make a cream. And when you blend it for powder, you blend it with different powder bases.
Mm-hmm.
So that and some kind of um, compounds that would make the powder stay together, because when you press it needs some binders so that the powder binds into a cake.
Mm-hmm.
So you mix all of those in when you make it into a powder. But pigment wise, it would be very similar. It's
Cool.
just a different base. Yeah.
And Kara kind of followed up that, yeah, she was asking for vintage makeup, just
Yes.
what was the basic difference in when it came to foundations between a cream formula and a pancake foundation.
Well, the cream formulas were made from like the old fashioned grease makeup at the time. So they were oil based. So
Mm-hmm.
all the cream makeup was oil based. So it was a lot heavier of a makeup, and it was very hard to keep it from being shiny because it was an oil based makeup. So it would be very shiny. You would have to powder it all the time to avoid it going shiny on you, because it was made out of oils, really,
Yeah.
basically, oils and pigments. So very very heavy and dense type of makeup.
Uh-huh.
The pancake, on the other hand, was a powder that contained a cream in it, so that it had a way to adhere to your skin, but it was actually water soluble, so that you applied it with a wet sponge. So
Mm-hmm.
you would put a wet sponge on this makeup and work it into it, and then apply it. And you would have to apply it quickly so that it wouldn't streak on you, because as it dried, it would just stay where it was,
Uh-huh.
basically. But it was very matte, because it was mainly powder, that was activated with water. So then when it dried, it would just stay like that. So it was very dry, but it made you look more like a porcelain doll kind of thing, because it was
Uh-huh.
completely matte. But you had to work quickly to avoid streaks, because it would tend to streak if you didn't apply it very quickly and got rid of any imperfections in the application, because it would set right away. But the advantage is that you didn't have to powder it, and that it would last longer on, because of the fact that it was completely dry. There was no oil in it, so it wouldn't get oily or shiny during the
Mm-hmm.
day.
And that was invented pancake for film originally,
Yes,
right?
yes, in the late 30s. Yeah, in
Oh,
1938 around, it was invented for a film. So Max Factor invented it to use for Technicolor film,
oh,
and
cool.
then and it worked so well for that his son afterwards wanted to retail it to the public. So they made a lot of shades. They made a range of shades for it, and then sold it as pancake makeup.
That's so
But it was
cool.
mainly developed for Technicolor because of the fact that they needed something that would look good on in color on the camera. And since you needed a lot of light to film Technicolor, that
Right.
you wouldn't get, you wouldn't get perspiration, and it wouldn't get shiny on the actors.
Yeah.
So that's why he created this very, very dry formula for that purpose.
That's cool. Cool. Thank you for that extra kind of extra
Extra,
makeup
extra.
facts. That's so fun. Awesome.
All right.
What is our next vintage
Okay, well,
item?
the last one I have for you today is this little case right here. And it just kind of
Ooh,
looks like a little slim lipstick, right?
yeah.
It looks like a lipstick. But when you open it, ta-da,
Oh, it's a little brush.
it's a
I was
brush.
honestly so impressed.
So it's
Very
a
easy,
brush.
please. That's so cute.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a little brush. But and then you go like this, you put it back up, and then you can put the lid back on it. But this little
Uh,
brush was actually made in the late 50s by
oh.
the Fuller Brush Company.
Oh, for the clean,
So
they make cleaning brushes and
they
things
make
like that.
cleaning brushes,
Yeah.
yes. But I guess in the 50s or so, they started to resell cosmetic items from
Uh-huh.
other people because they were selling door to door and through catalogs. And so they made, I guess, a brush for your makeup. So
Oh,
there's a fuller brush for your face, and it's labeled
wow.
on the bottom as distributed by the Fuller Brush Company, which is
Wow.
kind of very interesting because you wouldn't think that they would have been making this kind of brush because
Yeah.
they sold brushes, to clean your house door to door. So the company
Yeah.
started actually in the 30s, the Fuller Brush Company. So a very old company that started selling these cleaning brushes and that door to door. So they became very well known for that type of product because
Mhm.
one of their claim to fame was that the brushes were guaranteed for life, so you wouldn't have to replace the brush.
Mhm.
So like the brushes to the clean your
Yeah,
floor,
brooms and yeah.
brooms, and all kinds of yes.
It's kind
But
of like if
yeah,
Swiffer put out a makeup brush,
exactly.
kind of.
That's
It
exactly
would be a
right.
little
That's
weird.
exactly. That's why I was so surprised when I found this because it's like, why did the Fuller Brush Company make that? So I don't know if they actually sold this piece or if it was maybe given out as a promotional piece for them,
Right.
maybe as a gift with purchase or something. I don't know, but it's very, very peculiar actually.
And it's
Uh,
so cute too. I mean, it's like such a
yeah,
perfect little
yes, it's
cosmetics
cute. It has like little
brush.
butterflies on the has little
Yeah.
butterflies in the
Oh my
case.
gosh.
Uh,
That is so
but yeah, it's a
cute.
little tiny brush. You see it's for your blush in this, and you can see on the bottom it does say the Fuller Brush Company in there. You
Wow.
can tell, but
What a
yeah,
fun thing that is.
isn't that fun? And then you just pull it up, and you can pull the cap back on and put it in your bag. So
And
kind of cute.
Find Orion had a question that the brush looks too small for face but too big for eyes. What do you think that would be a brush for?
I think it was actually for a blush at the
Mm,
time, because remember blush in the 50s, and that it was mainly concentrated in one area, so it would have been a size that was common for blush.
hmm.
you know
Okay.
so so yeah, it's not a shadow brush because
No.
that wasn't really a thing as
Oh,
much, and it wouldn't have been as big as this either. It's way too large
yeah.
for shadow. So yeah, this was definitely a blush.
What did people use for shadow at the time if they weren't using brushes?
A smaller, smaller
Oh, just the
brushes. They
small
had
brush. Oh,
smaller,
sure.
yeah, they had smaller ones, but nothing this big. This big would
Yeah,
have been for a blush.
that would
Yeah.
be pretty hard to do eye makeup
Yeah,
with.
this would be too much for an eye. Yes. So this size would have been yeah, definitely for.
And CM asked, is it soft or does it feel like a cleaning brush?
Uh, Semi soft. It's not super soft. No.
You wouldn't want to like clean your floors with it, but it's not
Yeah,
the
it's not as,
softest.
yeah, it's not as soft as the brushes that you have now for your face. Actually, yes,
Yeah.
it's kind of rough for face brushes. Yeah, but
Uh, and then Sadaya, or I'm sorry if I said your name wrong. She said it's kind of like Dyson branching out into hair dryers because Dyson is vacuums and now they're putting
kind
out
of.
fancy hair dryers. So it is,
Yes,
yeah, that's a
yeah,
very
yeah.
similar.
Yeah, it's kind of very similar. I think they might have, because I saw advertisements that they were selling other cosmetic products for an, from another brand. So maybe they were just
Okay.
branching out, and since they had a customer base of people that bought through the catalogs, they probably wanted to see if they could sell them other things. Since women
Yeah,
were buying these things for their homes,
exactly.
maybe they wanted some cream or something else.
Yeah.
So I think they were just trying to capture maybe more of that same market.
Awesome. And if anybody has any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments now. I think that is so cute. And also, if there's anything in particular kind of stuff you would like to see from Gabriela, she has quite the collection. So
Yeah.
feel free to let us know. CM also said they're very envious of your eyebrows. So
My eyebrows.
your
Oh
eyebrows are
gosh.
very gorgeous.
Oh boy. Thank you.
We did have one quick question from BP. Did cream and powder blush always exist together? Were they always around at the same time?
They were around, yes, at the same time, because they were used for different things. Creams were used a lot for theater
Mm.
use because they came in sticks. So cream rouges, just cream sticks of color that were used all over the face,
Hmm.
were around for much longer than any makeup that was made for a consumer. So this was kind of more what you would call professional makeup because it
Uh-huh.
was used by theater people. So these were around for a very long time. But then for the aristocracy and people that use cosmetics, they they use creams in pots. They were really elaborate looking pots
Hmm.
that were sold that had cream rouge in them, and those pots were very, very nice, and they were obviously made for people that could afford them because they were made out of ivory or precious metals or you know they had jewels on them. They were keepsakes to put into your vanity, and they
Yeah.
were filled with cream rouge.
Oh.
But they also had something called Spanish leather, which was basically a blush that was in a powder, but the powder was actually put into a piece of leather. Like the
Oh.
red powder was rubbed onto a piece of leather. So this leather, if you think of leather, the backside of leather kind of has a texture to it.
Hmm.
Imagine if you kind of like pounded powder and pressed it into that. So then this piece of leather was red, stained from the powder. And then when after the ladies put on that white powder and all that, kind of like think of Marie Antoinette, for example, you would
Right.
take that piece of Spanish leather, which was a little piece of leather like this, and then you would rub that lightly on the cheeks, and that would give you that reddish cheek.
Oh, wow. That is so fat. And rouge is one of the older cosmetics, would you say, for
Yes,
commercial
yeah, rouge
use?
is actually yeah, the oldest. Obviously you have the Egyptians using knolls and other malachites and other minerals that they would ground together with oils and then use them as eye makeup
Uh-huh.
in all around the eyes. But they also used other minerals to put, like rouge or lip colors as
Hmm.
well. But
Cool.
yeah, that type of mineral, like an iron oxides and things that are red, have been around for a very, very long time. It's probably one of the oldest type of cosmetics that there are, or
Oh.
body painting in
Yeah.
general. Mm-hmm.
And then we had one request and Natalie has asked this a couple times. I think I've forgot to mention it one time, but we'd love to see more of the vintage makeup books you have. So maybe we
Oh,
could do a whole
sure.
video of just little pieces from the
Oh,
books if you wanted,
definitely.
or
Oh yeah,
something like that.
definitely. I have a ton of them. Actually, I'll bring out some books next time so that
Yeah.
you can see all my old books. I have quite a lot of them, so I'll show you a bunch.
And then we also got a question about highlighter. When Ashley asked, when did highlighter first start being used?
Highlighter
Like more the modern highlight, the kind of, highlighting as a form of contouring kind of,
like in the 80s. In the
Mm.
80s, we started doing highlighting and using those things as reflective surfaces in the thing,
Uh-huh.
because in the 60s we had a lot of shimmers that we use around the eyes, and
Uh-huh.
but they weren't used really in the planes of the face as highlighters until really more into the 80s, where we started to kind of get really choppy in the way that we chopped off, the
Yeah.
planes of the face, that kind of happened in the 80s,
Ooh.
so that the highlighting to actually break up the face, I think, was more prevalent in that period, even though we had shimmery pigments before that, but
Mm-hmm.
they just weren't used for that purpose.
When did kind of shimmery pigments start becoming popular in general?
Well, the 60s had a lot of
In the
shimmer.
60s, yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
especially shimmer lipsticks.
Oh.
There was a lot of shimmer lipsticks. Most of them contained the fish scales,
Oh.
So the shimmer was made out of like the scales of the fish. They would grind that up, and that would
Uh-huh.
make a sheen kind of,
Oh.
and that would be added to lipstick colors, and it would make them, the pearly, that
Right.
pearly colors and
Mm-hmm.
sheen colors, shimmery colors. So those were started to be very popular in the 60s, especially peaches and
Mm-hmm.
shimmery whites, like
Oh, right.
very shimmery white shades were popular. Pinks, also shimmer pinks, were
Uh-huh.
popular. So shimmery, a lot of shimmery going on in the lip category in the 60s.
And I have a feeling we don't use fish scales anymore in
Some
our
people
shimmer.
do.
Oh, wow.
Some people still do.
Wow, I had
Some
no
people
idea.
still do. Yes, yes. Because to add shimmer to things, you can use different types of ingredients, and the least expensive ingredient is the scales.
Yeah.
So for shadows that are very, very inexpensive, that's a very inexpensive way to add shimmer. So
Wow.
yeah, so there are synthetic versions too, but that's just one of the old-fashioned, very inexpensive ways. Just like mineral oil is another very inexpensive way to add an emollient into a cosmetic,
Mm-hmm.
but because it's the least expensive of the emollients to add. So
Right.
it's all about price and availability. So, but yeah, some people still use that. It's still around. It's still
Wow.
around. It's still around. Pearls
Cool.
too. Ground pearls also are
Yeah.
used for shimmers and
Mm-hmm.
for doing that. But obviously, the pearls are more expensive.
We had a quick question about compacts.
Yes.
And and are we coming out with different compacts or fancy compacts? And we will
Yes.
be coming out with stuff. We can't talk too much about it, but we are
Yes.
working on coming up with some
Yes.
new compacts for sure.
Yes. 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 Definitely. Yes. Definitely. Very soon we'll be coming out with new things. Yes.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for all the questions and stuff. And yes, Natalie, we will be getting more books. It's my fault. I think I
Yes.
haven't been
I
stressing
will
that
bring the
enough.
books. Yes,
But we will
next
be
week I'll
getting
bring you
those.
all my books.
So we'll have some fun, more pictures of people going through
Yes,
facial
yes,
exercises and stuff like we've kind
yes,
of seen before. Those are always
yes,
fun to me.
yes,
Thank you guys
yes.
so much. And we will
Thank
be
you.
back next week with more. And again, of course, thank you, Gabriela. That's so fascinating. I love all of it so much. And
Oh, thank you.
yeah, look out for Swiffer makeup brushes soon. Who knows if
Exactly.
history repeats itself?
Maybe they'll take this as an idea and go with it.
Yeah, who knows? All right. Thank you guys so much and have a wonderful day. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye. Bye.